So we're going to be doing some cassowary training today. Our two cassowaries, Tully and Bindi, live in our Australia section of the zoo. And these are really big ratites that live in the Australian rainforest. So they are susceptible to something called West Nile virus. We do yearly vaccinations with them to keep them protected. So right now we're working on target and station training in order to get them prepared for our vet techs to come down and give them their voluntary injection.
Bindi, you want great? We got target. That's a girl. Good job.
So the target is something for them to focus on, and then when they touch it, they know that that's what I wanted them to do. So it's basically just like a good placeholder for them to know, okay, you did what I wanted, we can move on. Target. Good boy.
Kumi, target. Good. We'll use the target when we first start a session, just to kind of focus him like, hey, we're here to train. You know, I need your focus, pay attention to this. He also knows, as well as MJ, that if I target this, I get a treat. All right, Kumi, back.
We have verbal cues and hand cues.
Kumi, touch.
We mostly use the hand cues to communicate from human to human, which is nice. When we're using power tools, I can signal to John what my next step is, and then he's up by Kumi's head so he can give a verbal cue to Kumi. It's us giving a heads up to the animal what our plan is and kind of giving them an opportunity to walk away if they don't want to do it. So both telling them what's up and kind of asking permission at the same time. And so while I'm focused on this, but John's watching the rest of their body language, we want to make sure safety is the top priority for them and us.
Training's really important at the zoo so that we can, for one, build a relationship with the animals, as well as work with any medical needs they may have. I can ask for hand if they're paying attention. Hand. Good. And then with Allie especially, she's very good if I can move, palpate her arm, so you can get better access to it. A lot of it is very medical based, especially with our younger ones, since they don't know what injection needles really are yet. We're working on injection training so that they can give us their thigh and we can do it a lot easier. This is the most colobus we've had, so especially working with 3 little ones and then a mom that's very grabby. It presents its own challenges. So our next step will be station training so they can each have their own spot and maybe not get in each other's way as much.
Target training is a nice, easy behavior. It's usually what we start out with an animal that maybe hasn't really had a lot of formal training before, because it's just nice and simple, and it's really versatile for us as trainers to then build upon that first behavior and work towards more complicated ones. So like for instance, our goal with them is to start off with the target, and then I can direct him where I want him to station using the target, and then build upon that with introducing him to the pole syringe and that kind of a thing. And it also just comes down to knowing your species behavior and your individual behavior, because sometimes maybe they're having a bad day and they really don't want to participate, and I'm never going to force them to try to. We'll just try again another time. Target. There you go. Good job.